And that's the game that we play as entrepreneurs. If you want to be compensated for your time, go get a job where as a W-2, and you'll be able to stay on as long as they decide that you're generating results, and then they'll fire you.
Welcome to today's episode of Today's Agency. I'm Shawn Butler, your host, marketing professor, growth consultant, and 3x agency founder. And today, I feel very fortunate to get to sit down with Mandi Ellefson, the founder of Hands Off CEO. Hi, Mandi. Thank you for joining me today. It's great to see you again.
It is such a pleasure, Shawn. Thanks for having me.
Cool. As the name states, your business, you help CEOs get hands off in their own businesses. And I happen to know that Mandi is among the best in the world at what she does, which is help CEOs of already successful consulting agencies, right? To scale their business, step back from the day-to-day, and attract the kind of clients who will pay double or more of their current retainers, which is something we're all shooting for, that I'm very excited to hear you get to share. I know you have all the case studies to prove it. You've helped dozens and dozens of successful CEOs at this point, at all types of agencies, to literally double their consulting fees, which again, we love. And you've helped them add millions of dollars by growing their growth to their own business using your system, Scale to Freedom. Mm-hmm. And absolutely, that's one of the things I want us to talk about today.
Sounds great. Let's jump in.
Let's jump in. The best starting point I have for you is I'd love to know a little bit about the journey that brought you to Hands Off CEO and what makes you, I know some of this story, but what makes you qualified, especially to share this with my audience, to step in and know about the struggles, the day-to-day that you're helping these CEOs get away from.
Well, here's the thing is that we start off our business for a number of different reasons. We want to have personal freedom. Some of us are unemployable, brilliant geniuses who have no ability to work for other people because we just can't really be nailed down. And so we go and start a business. So we have some great idea or some other reason. And we find that we're making a lot of sacrifices to our personal life to be able to win and be successful. And that was something that I ran into with my first company. And my first company was a branding and web design company. And I had gotten to a point where I was, about 8 months pregnant, closer maybe than to delivery than that. And my business was just starting to fall apart because I wasn't able to continue driving it. And I had been a manager of a company that I had really gotten to this nice, smooth running without me. I could travel when I wanted. This was in the real estate industry where it was just like,
sure,
it was basically impossible to do that, even in times where it was like the 2008 real estate market to give you an idea, of what that was in property management. And I had gotten that business to become this well-oiled machine. And I wasn't able to do that for my own company. And it was really frustrating. It was really frustrating to see that at like this pinnacle of my life where I really could have used that income for my family. My husband was in this graduate medical program and I just couldn't continue on with the business in the way I had. And it was a total physical shutdown of my body from all the stress. And, it was a pretty hard time. So I went through, and after I had my baby, I had a lot of opportunity to think through this. And I shut my business down for the time to figure out what I was going to do next. And in that process, I just started testing and looking at what other entrepreneurs were doing. I found people who had the same challenge as me, basically. And then I started interviewing them, and then I started helping them solve their problems. So I was a good problem solver. So I knew if I could find like I could find the common thread. What was really going on with these companies? So as I was interviewing them, as I was doing like some free consulting, basically, I was able to help these companies, and then they were able to free up more time. They were able to generate more growth in their company. And in doing that, people started asking me to help them with their companies and start paying me to do this.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I had started this consulting company, and I realized that was where my real passion lied. That was where I could see I could make the kind of impact that I really wanted to make that I wasn't able to make in my previous company. So at that point, I took my previous company. I had a current staff member at the time, and I sold the company to her. She's still running it today, actually. It's a little tiny company, but it was a huge blessing for her to be able to take that on. And for me to be able to take a different path. And, 10 years later, we have this company called Hands Off CEO it's doing work at a whole different level now. And that's what got me into it, though, to answer your question.
I love that. And congratulations. You just completed 10 years of doing this. So you're not new at it. You've been doing it a little while. And I want to know, I want to know everything. Obviously, I've told you, I would love, your program seems like the right fit for so many of the agency owners I work with who are facing that stage. But you mind talking a little bit about, what you've seen since 2012 in the industry, and especially how that's shaped your core offer that gets these huge results. I mean, doubling billing, which is scale to freedom.
Yeah. So the trends that we're seeing the past 10 years is that agencies are becoming more and more commoditized. What used to be really innovative, like back in the day when I first started my company, to give you an idea, with it was a branding and design company, and I found out very quickly that nobody wanted my design; they just wanted websites, because that was really new, and not many people knew how to design websites. They didn't even teach it in schools yet. This was before YouTube. I had to go to the library and learn how to do all these things, right? And just find mentors who just kind of helped me, and I figured out how to get those projects across the finish line. That was what was innovative back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now that's a commodity. Now you can get so agencies over the years have been able to get by with one thing that used to be innovative, which is now a commodity. And the pace of technology moving, it goes so fast, and we have AI that is replacing a lot of the hands work that people used to be willing to pay a premium for, being done in the States or in Canada. And now they're not willing to do that because they can get it done abroad for a lot cheaper. So now what clients are really demanding is they want results. They want outcomes for their company. Because if they're just looking for, hey, I want you to run these ads, or hey, I want you to do this branding work for us, if they can't see a clear path to success, they're going to have a really hard time really investing in services more than just smaller individual packages where they're just kind of kicking the tire and seeing how it works. They're throwing spaghetti against the wall. They're gambling. And clients don't want to do this, but they reluctantly have to, because there's not enough agencies in the market actually offering them what they want.
Wow, that's powerful. Now, do you see that they know what they want, or is it often give them what they think they
don't?
Want?
That's the thing. And there's this concept that we talk about with this value bridge. On one side of the bridge, they're in this painful, challenging part, and on the other side, it's what they ultimately want. And sometimes they don't even know clearly what they want or believe it's possible. So what happens is the clients will come or prospects will come and say, "Hey, I want you to. We're looking for someone to do SEO for us. We're looking for more traffic. We're looking for a web app. We're looking for any one of these different services that they're looking for, but they think is going to give them what they want." Now, the real opportunity is when you can look further down the road and say, what do they actually want? And coming at it from a strategic partnership perspective, where we're saying, all right, what do you want out of this web app? What do you want out of these campaigns? What are you actually trying to accomplish? So instead of focusing on generating more traffic or whatever the deliverable that this client is asking for, look at the bigger picture of what this deliverable is going to do for them, and what is the bigger outcome that you could be able to generate with the services that you do.
I love that. And that stacks on what you were just saying before of don't come in and be a service delivery. They can find that for cheaper. Coming in and really being a strategic partner, providing that level of value, takes having the freedom, the experience, and the time, which I know is a hot button for you in the Scale to Freedom service, but creating that time for you to be able to think with the owner and think about the business.
Right. Well, and then how do you and here's the thing is when you're in a one-on-one conversation, sales conversation, you can kind of figure some of these out. If you're pretty good at sales, you'll figure some of these things out together. But you're missing out on a huge opportunity, because if your whole brand was positioned around a very specific problem for a specific type of client and an outcome that you can provide, your whole brand is positioned to be in such a way that is like water in a desert where they've been thirsty for 3 days. And no one else is offering that. But so many consulting companies and agencies are not positioned in that way. It's hidden. The case studies are hidden. The real outcomes are hidden. And the reason why is because the people who are best at what they do are also quite modest, and they want to be careful that they're not overpromising.
Sure.
So it's a good thing. But it's also looking at what is the bigger, more expansive work that we can do. Doing that. And this is where a lot of times the CEO doesn't actually have the time to focus on the working on the business part, to really get deeper in understanding what do we actually want to do. And I've seen this with companies that are on their way to $1 million. I've seen this with companies that, 1, 2, 3, 4 million, where they're looking at this and realizing that we have a little bit of an identity crisis. And the reason why, and how you can tell, is that the CEO is the one who has to close the sales. The CEO is the one who has to drive leads through their own network, which they get the value from that. But if you're not able to, if you're running different marketing campaigns and they're not working at the level of effectiveness that you want them to, and you're finding that, we're spending all this money on advertising and making these, trying to generate leads, but really what is happening is all the sales are actually coming from referrals. what's going on is foundationally something is missing around the offer. And when you fix that offer, all those other things that you're doing with your marketing will all of a sudden start working better.
So saying what you just said differently, you come in and you see these CEOs who are good at what they do, but their sleeves are rolled up and they're still hands deep in the business.
Yes.
And one of the first recommendations it sounds like you're making is a pull back from the business and fix the offer.
Right. And to be able to do that, what we do, we walk our clients through what we call this find time now process, and a way to be able to clear off their plate, find them at least 10 extra hours per week they can focus working on the business.
Find time now, and you're clearing 10 extra hours out of their week.
Right. Yeah. So we walk them through that process. And then we also, one of the biggest things that we see happen at this stage is that they have these great leaders in place. They have these great staff, and some of them are emerging leaders. But what goes on is that they haven't fully been able to completely own these different things. So what goes on is that the CEO still gets pulled into these different roles, and it takes up an enormous amount of brain power and capacity and bandwidth, because they're being pulled into account management. They're being pulled into project management even sometimes. And they might even still be involved in the operations management. A lot of them are still involved in operations management. Even if they have a good person in place, they're not proactively fixing things. They're not proactively looking ahead for what do our systems need to be like for this next level of growth. And so what happens is every time the business grows, and the CEO gets pulled back in to be able to fix all those systems and processes, which means that, I was just talking to a CEO recently who was saying, you know what, we can generate so much growth. He has no problem being able to generate just unlimited amount of growth, but that he has to stop every quarter, like 1 quarter every year, in order to get everything set up and the systems and the people and everything to be able to grow to the next level.
Right. Yeah. That's the being spread too thin commitment that's stopping you from hitting the growth you need. If I can segue that into kind of a question, again, back to big picture, Mandi, if you were, stuck in that position, or worse, you were starting your agency today, looking around in 2022, and maybe, you're back where you were, taking you back in time to where you were 15 years ago or 2008, what advice would you give today for building an agency and doing it the hands-off CEO way?
Well, I'm not the best advisor for startups. So maybe I'll jump up a little bit. Yeah. So the startup phase is like the soul-sucking, awful time. And it sucks. And that's not really where my main area of expertise is. It's where companies have gotten to a certain level of success. They figured out they figured out how to be able to generate value for clients and how to get results. They know how to do that, but what happens is they're not able to scale it. So that's really where my area of expertise is at and what we do at Hands Off CEO. But I will say though, what will be able to generate the fastest growth is if you are focused on results. And too many companies get focused on selling deliverables because that's what they're being asked for. And then and then what's happening is that they're selling low-priced services that don't give them the margin to be able to actually deliver good quality results that actually deliver outcomes. So it creates a perpetual cycle of attracting and crap clients.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's why you have mediocre agencies, because they're stuck in that trap, and it will keep the CEO stuck in it forever. And we can't work with those agencies, by the way. If they don't have results, there's nothing we can do to help them, because it is an integrity issue for our team to help them scale a company that's not delivering results for clients. And there's not the profit margins to actually be able to hire good quality people, because they're not able to charge enough ethically to be able to, because here's the thing is that there's this misconception that I should be compensated for my time. We should be compensated for the work that we do, but it's not about that. You actually get compensated for the results, what you can actually deliver. And that's the game that we play as entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
if you want to be compensated for your time, go get a job where as a W-2 and you'll be able to stay on as long as they decide that you're generating results, and then they'll fire you. But
right. No, their whole industry is where you can achieve tenure. You're being paid for the results you deliver and how clearly and predictably you can do that. And I love the stance you've taken on that, again, and from the position of ethics, is if you go out and make somebody better at selling a poor deliverable, you're not helping the client, which is going to lead to short-term growth and failure.
And here's the thing is that it's an easy trap to be in, and there are a lot of agencies that have been there at some point. So like if you've been there, no shame. It's just a part of the growth that maybe you've gotten to where you're at. But it's looking at this next level is looking at where are we delivering the best results, and then eliminate everything else that where you cannot deliver results. And that's going to be over time, by the way. I'm not suggesting you just go and fire 80% of your clients. That would be stupid. But I'm looking at,
yeah, don't do that today.
What is the place that we want to really focus the scaling of our business and get really clear about who it is that we're serving, what problems we're solving, what's the outcome that we're delivering. And then you have world-class positioning based around that. We call our power of ones. And then when you have the world-class positioning, now you have something that's worthy of scaling. Now you have something that you can actually charge what we find between 50 and 600% higher price point for. Now you have something that clients will invest long-term for upfront without like these little test projects. You can do test projects. I mean, you can do initial engagements upfront if you want. But what our clients find is after a certain while, they say, we're not doing this BS anymore. Forget it. We're only doing these longer-term engagements because these other ones are just eating up all of our time and capacity. Why would I take on a $20,000 project when I have someone who's paying me $150 over here or $200,000? It just doesn't make sense anymore. So you can see how that's a lot easier to scale that. It's a lot easier to be able to build repeatable systems around a long-term process rather than something shorter term that is very likely going to need to be delivered by the CEO to a large extent because they're actually selling as part of the service. Yeah. I don't know about you, Shawn, but I absolutely hate delivering services where I have to sell as part of the services. I don't like that myself personally. There's some people who like that and there's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. But it's not, I don't like doing it myself. It's just, there's nothing ethically wrong with it, but it's just not where my skill set is. I just want to be able to pour into our clients. And if I have to be thinking about selling them to the next level every time, it takes away from it for me.
Yeah. And that's part of the value bridge concept, right? That you're moving them through what they're ready for next. And it's having thought through so much, hey, if you're in this business, this is the stage you need next. This is the approach you'll need next. That really is foreseeing and implementing your 10 plus years with hands-off CEO, but the dozen years you talked about before that in being able to know where business owners need to be and the best next steps for them. Mandi, you've offered tons of value, so many great insights and strategies in this conversation. I appreciate so much what you've shared with us. For my audience sake, what's the best way they can find you and keep up with all the great stuff you're putting out?
Well, you can go to our Hands Off CEO podcast and you can find it on your favorite podcast player. I know for sure we're on iTunes. We're on a number of other ones, but
yeah,
my
I found you on Spotify. You're on
that.
Apple.
Okay,
I recommend it. Your 90th episode came out, I think, this morning. So
nice.
You've been at it, and there's great value in there. It's a masterclass in this type of agency ownership mentality.
Well, and the other thing is you can go to our website and download our roadmap to scale. You just go to handsoffceo.com and it's right there at the top and you can download that ultimate roadmap to scale. Something else that's exciting and new coming out, we have our new book that's coming out. The title is, don't ask me the title yet. We have like a finalist, so we're making some decisions on the title at the moment.
Titles are the last thing they're going to keep changing on you. So yeah,
exactly.
The new book is coming out. Congratulations.
So I have a working title, but I dare not share it because it's probably going to change. So, but the book is going to come out soon. I'm very proud of it. We have some very top level scaling advice for scaling marketing agencies, growth agencies, consulting agencies, and how to be able to scale in a way that is sustainable and in a way that you really love your business and you love your life while you're doing it.
I'd love the chance to be on that list to help share out your book when it's ready. I know it's going to be full of nuggets and your wisdom and more of this great advice that you've earned.
Great. Well, thanks, Shawn. It was such a great pleasure to be on your podcast.
Absolutely. No, thank you again for doing it. Thank you to everyone for listening to today's agency. We want to offer you weekly updates on the evolution of advertising, marketing, digital PR, all these things in this fast-changing world that we live in. What we ask in return is that you give us a review so we can build our community of growth-focused business owners. As always, if you want to connect, I'm at relevantforagencies.com, today's agencypodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, on the LinkedIn where I spend entirely too much time. And we just want to share, I go hand in glove with Mandi's message. You own the business you're building. Do not let it be the other way around. Go and do great work.